Hi, this is James Melendez, James the Wine Guy, here to talk about briefly Ribera del Duero. It's a fantastic wine region, and I'll just immediately say that it's often compared to its neighbor, which is Rioja. And I'll show you on a map where this is located. So you'll see on this map here the entire Spanish peninsula, Spanish region. You're going to see Rioja here, and then to the southwest is Ribera del Duero. So they're really named after the river regions in their respective areas. Rioja, named after Rio Hoja, a very small river compared to, say, the Ebro, which is a major river for Rioja. And then you have the Ribera del Duero, so the Duero River, and flows into Portugal, becomes the Douro. Now, so again, some similarities. I mean, you have Tempranillo in both regions, and capacity to age for a long time. So greatly crafted wines in both regions. And I like to just escape from that or demystify that one wine region is better than the other. So A is better than B or B is better than A. That's not true. They need to be compared in their own way. And that's what the purpose of this video is for. I'm just excited about it. I love these wines. And for me, they're just really harder to find in the U.S., say, compared to other wine regions in Europe, or highly regarded wine regions in Europe. Now, what we find here is that the Ribera del Duero is a smaller wine region, so it's about 19,000 hectares or 47,000 acres. So you compare that against Rioja, which is about 62,000 hectares or 153,000 acres, so about 3 times smaller. Now, Ribera del Duero is a denominación de origen, so it's a qualification system in Spain. So it's not the highest level. The highest level is the DOC, which is the Denominación de Origen Calificada, which happens to be the designation for Rioja. And the Ribera del Duero is always being mentioned as a candidate for that. Now, it's not up for that to the best of my knowledge. The region is not pursuing that. I expect that to happen someday, but I don't know when. And but I definitely will get that distinction. Now that it is further away from, say, south and west of Rioja, it has a higher elevation. It is about 800 meters to 2,500 feet above sea level. So very high summer temperatures. Cool rapidly in the evening time because of that elevation. Tempranillo is king here, and it's called Tinto Fino. So an export bottle like this bottle here, it's called Tempranillo. In Spain, you're going to find it as Tinto Fino. And somebody picking up the bottles knows that that is a Tempranillo wine. So there's many regions in Spain, and they all call Tempranillo something different. It has many synonyms. Now, this region also produces Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Merlot, and they're often blended together. There is one indigenous white wine called Albio, and this is not a DO classification wine. However, it does get blended sometimes into a red wine, and that is allowed by DO standards. First of all, beautiful, gorgeous wines. Seek them out. And as I always say, if you can't find it, ask your wine merchant to bring in some wines from Ribera del Duero. You see it on a wine list, order some. Fantastically beautiful, gorgeous wines. These pair with so many different things. I've had this with fish. I've had this with chicken. I've had this with burgers or steaks. So many wonderful things go with wines from Ribera del Duero. It's a region that I just look up to, and I hope to see more of. I think we will. And again, the capacity is much less than, say, its neighbor next door. And but just because the capacity is less doesn't mean that there's not supply to export to, say, the U.S. I think the U.S. is primed to getting more Spanish wines. And I think as we see in time, that'll happen because people are more interested in discovering regions that they are not as familiar with to taste these wines. And I think in terms of, say, quality versus price point, the value is there. So for more wine reviews, please go to jamesthewineguy.com. Please subscribe to my videos on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, Google+, Pinterest. Salud.